Welcome back to the IBSP. Here's your host, Boxing News.
Canelo Alvarez is on the same level skills-wise as Terence Bud Crawford. And look, let's break it down honestly and objectively as possible. And I've been getting person after person saying Canelo Alvarez has no skills. He has no abilities. The guy is like a Deontay Wilder. The guy can't compete anybody with skills. He has to rely solely on his power. But if Canelo's not getting knockouts, how is he getting wins? I mean, let's just be honest and unbiased about it. We've seen Danny Jacobs says we know for sure that Terence Crawford has the skills over Canelo Alvarez. And I have to disagree. I think Terence Crawford is highly skilled, but I also believe that Canelo Alvarez is also highly skilled, and I think people ignore Canelo Alvarez's skill set and pump up everybody else's. Look, let me break this down. First off, we've seen Terence Bud Crawford go life and death against Israel Madrimov at 154 pounds. Remember this, he went life and death with this guy. Israel Madrimov is not a pound-for-pound fighter, not elite, won a vacant belt basically. He's a good fighter with limited pro experience, but you want me to believe that Israel Madrimov is the same level as Floyd Mayweather, an elite defensive genius? Absolutely not. So when people talk about Terence Crawford's skills, where was his skills in the Israel Madrimov to win a clean, clear victory? You remember, he went life and death with this man. And not only that, Terence Crawford had a massive reach advantage, had a speed advantage, and still went life and death with this guy at 154. So at 154, Terence Crawford's highest weight, he went life and death with Israel Madrimov, who's a good fighter, not a great fighter, a good fighter, not an elite fighter. And yet, you want me to believe that he's so far ahead of Canelo Alvarez skills-wise, he's an ocean ahead of Canelo skill-wise, doesn't make sense to me. At 154, his only fight at the weight, the highest weight he's ever been in, was controversial at best. But then you see Canelo Alvarez, who's dominated 168 pounds, 2 weight classes higher, and he's done it with less height than Terence Crawford, less reach than Terence Crawford, less speed than Terence Crawford. Whether you know this or not, Terence Crawford has a height advantage over Canelo, has a reach advantage over Canelo, has speed advantage over Canelo. And when he has all these advantages over Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford does, he's still not competing at 168. He's still not competing at 160. And Canelo Alvarez is dominating higher weight classes with less height, reach, and speed than Terence Crawford. That shows you how great Canelo Alvarez is. How is Canelo Alvarez competing at these weights? And he has less height, reach, and speed than Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford, with all those advantages at 154, he's still having controversial fights. I mean, let's just be honest and unbiased about it. And then when you look at Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford and you break them down, you see that Terence Bud Crawford, yes, he does have a height advantage over Canelo. He does have a reach advantage over Canelo. He does have a speed advantage over Canelo. And when people talk about Canelo's skills and abilities, they say he's slow and he's this and he's that. Well, really, Canelo Alvarez has an underrated defense, has an underrated offense, and he has a great adaptability in any and every fight. Canelo Alvarez is winning fights based off of his skills. Think about it. If he has less height and reach and speed than 90% of the people that he's fighting, how is he winning the fights? He's not getting one-round knockouts. How is he winning the fights? He's outskilling them. And just because he doesn't make it look flashy or glamorous, Canelo Alvarez is putting in true work, and the man is highly skilled. Understand this, if Canelo Alvarez is constantly at multiple disadvantages, him being able to break down his opponents and get the win is a skill, dumbass. That takes a skillful fighter. Let me go in depth with this. First off, Canelo Alvarez fought Caleb Plant, who had height, reach, and speed and youth over Canelo Alvarez. Speed, height, reach, and youth over Canelo. Undefeated Prime World Champion. Undefeated Prime World Champion, yet Canelo Alvarez, with less speed, with less height, with less reach, somehow broke down Caleb Plant and stopped him. What does that tell you about Canelo Alvarez's skill set? See, this is the problem people have. Deontay Wilder never broke down anybody and stopped him. He's relied on one lucky power shot. Canelo Alvarez literally set up the shots and broke down Caleb Plant. That's highly skilled. Canelo Alvarez, Billy Joe Saunders. Let's go back to that. Billy Joe Saunders, speed, height, Reach, same thing. Canelo Alvarez working at all those disadvantages, skillfully, masterfully, broke down Billy Joe Saunders and landed a shot from the gourds and broke his face. But you want to tell me that Canelo doesn't have skills? You want to tell me that Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford's skill set is an ocean away? I just don't believe that. I think Terence Crawford is highly skilled and maybe has a slight skills advantage over Canelo. Maybe, maybe not. But we know it's very close. Don't act like it's an ocean away when Canelo Alvarez is relying on his skill set to beat these guys. I mean, we got to be honest. We've seen Terence Crawford, Israel Madrimov, 154, not 160, not 168, 154. Had a massive reach advantage over Israel Madrimov. Had a massive speed advantage over Madrimov. And the boy still shouldn't have won the fight. It was controversial. I mean, let's just be honest and unbiased. The fact that people hate on Canelo and say he has no skills and he's always fighting at disadvantages and he's a 4-weight world champion, pound for pound, Hall of Fame, elite fighter, really shows you how truly skilled Canelo Alvarez really is.